Hi, what's up everyone? Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Nika, and if you're not, then first of all, I am really sorry I haven't been uploading videos in literally weeks, but life was just getting in the way of things. But we are back, and we are back with something new. Today, I'm doing something I haven't done before on my channel. Today, I'm doing my very first true crime video. And true crime is something I've been really getting into lately. I've been watching so many videos and documentaries, and I've been researching, and I'm just so into it and fascinated by it. And I don't know exactly what it is, but I just, keep watching and watching. So I figured, why not start my own true crime series? This video is not to disrespect anyone. It's literally just a summary of things I found on the internet, compiled into one video. This video is extremely graphic, and we are going to talk about sexual abuse, and we are going to talk about minors that got hurt in the process of it all. So if this isn't really something you would like to listen to, or if this is something really triggering to you, I would suggest to just, turn off this video and watch something else. On my channel, I have a variety of videos completely unrelated to true crime, so I'm sure you can find something there. But if you are into it, I'm just gonna start with the video. But first, if this is the type of stuff you enjoy, then please make sure you subscribe to my channel, and also like this video and leave a comment if you can. That would give my channel more exposure and would help more people to find it and listen to what I have to say or what I've researched. So anyway, without further ado, let's dive into it. So imagine a very hot summer day in Mexico, 1963, when a 14-year-old Sebastián is running into a police station completely in distress, panicking, saying all sorts of things about vampires and how he saw somebody drinking blood. And so nobody really took the boy serious. They were kind of laughing about him, brushing it off, until one police officer by the name Luis Martinez decided to go speak to the boy and go check out the story. So he took the boy, they left to the location that the boy was describing, which was in a nearby town. And the next time both of them would have been seen, both of them were missing their hearts. This is the story of Magdalena Solís, who's also known as the High Priestess of Blood. And you'll soon find out why she's also known as that. And for now, I just want to focus on her and her background. But with that being said, there isn't actually so much information out there about her and where she's come from. But it is believed that she was born around 1947. And it's unclear when exactly she was born, but this is the year I could find, the most consistent year I could find online anyway. And it's believed that she's come from a really, really poor family, really dysfunctional family. Never had really any support, but she does have a brother, and her brother is also her pimp. She had been selling her body for money for the longest time, from very, very early teenager, young adult ages. It's also believed that she has several very serious mental health issues that played a really big part in her actions. And at the end of this video, we'll get into that a bit more, and I'll list exactly what is believed that she suffered from. Then in 1962, Magdalena and her brother were both approached by the Hernandez brothers. And the Hernandez brothers were small-time criminals pretty much their whole entire life. And they came to the two with a really unusual business idea. And for this part, it's important to know that the brothers literally survived out of scamming people in the northwest side of Mexico. That was their only means of making money and surviving, basically. Until then, in 1962, so basically the same year, they have settled in a really small village by the name Buena. And again, sorry if I mispronounced that. But it's not even a city. It's literally more like a small community. I've even seen terms describing it as a village would be quite too much. So it's literally just a community, a really poor community, and people were mainly surviving off farming. And this was their only means of making money. And one thing about the brothers, they were definitely extremely creative with the type of lies they made up in order to scam these people. So they would literally arrive there and pretend that they are prophets from some old ancient Incan gods. And to make the community believe them, they would come up with these little magic tricks that were completely foreign to the community because they were so isolated. Because if you think about it, this was in the 60s, like literally that's not too long ago. But nevertheless, the villagers did start believing these two brothers. So the brothers would say they would lead them to the riches that are believed to be hidden in the caves. And to make this whole thing even more believable, they would come up with these really weird human sacrifice type of rituals that will also include a lot of cannabis, a lot of drugs basically. And not long after all of these weird rituals, and once the brothers have understood that the community is blindly following them, they started to sexually abusing everyone in that community, regardless of their age or gender, whatever. These rituals would turn into huge orgies where everyone would just sleep with everyone, including minors. And it is also believed that they have sold some of the girls to sex traffickers in the cities around the village they were in, and some of them are believed to be as young as 14. But, you know, scams can last only so long. After a while, the villagers started questioning them, and they said, where are our riches? We want what you promised us. We've been following you and nothing has changed. So the brothers, with all of their creativity inside of them, came up with a new idea, and this is where Magdalena comes into play. So to solve the problem, the Hernandez brothers were traveling into a nearby village, trying to find any female sex worker that would join into their scam. And their idea was to pretend that one of these female sex workers was actually a real-life goddess. And this is how they met Magdalena. And Magdalena basically said immediately, yes, I'm in. And all four of them traveled back to the village. And this focus, obviously Magdalena's brother also joined. So that same evening, the Hernandez brothers called all of their community to the caves where they would perform their usual rituals. For this time, a very special ritual. He told the community that they're about to summon the goddess. So to make the whole thing look more dramatic and more real, they had a fake smoke machine. And of course, the villagers didn't know it was fake. They thought this was real. So you have there like all the smoke coming in this cave, and it looks so realistic to them. And as soon as the smoke, you know, kind of disappeared, you saw Magdalena standing there being the goddess, or pretending to be a goddess. And while the villagers were really confused, they did believe, you know, they're in luck. Their goddess came to rescue them. But they didn't know that Magdalena was just a young little girl with a lot of issues who is about to become their biggest nightmare. Here you have a girl that was abused her whole life, literally her entire life, now with all of this power and control, and oh boy, she was misusing this power in ways nobody could have predicted at all. And from here, Magdalena was supplied with an endless amount of weed and peyote. And if you don't know, peyote is a small spinous cactus which contains psychoactive alkaloids. So basically a hallucinogen natural drug. And if you thought this was a really bad combination, then you're right. Because combined with these drugs and her already existing mental health issues and all this newfound power that she received, Solís actually started to believe that she was the goddess. She didn't believe this was a scam any longer. She thought she was a goddess. And now the cave rituals became even darker. Now she's forcing for everyone to participate in these rituals in incest and bestiality. But not only that, she was also forcing the community to drink animal blood together laced with the cannabis and also the peyote. And she was telling them they have to drink this animal blood in order to gain immortality. And again, the whole community believed that this was a real-life goddess in front of them, giving them orders, trying to help them. So everyone did participate without any questions asked. And now we're getting into the first murder of Magdalena. At one point, there were two members of the community who started to question this whole thing, and they kind of started to see through the lies, and Magdalena was not happy when she found out about it. So she instructed the rest of the community to kill those two people for disobeying her. And from there, her bloodline spiraled completely out of control. She was now demanding human sacrifices as well. And anyone who would disobey her would find themselves laying on the altar, where they would be beaten, burned, and cut into pieces by the rest of their community. And not only that, because she truly believed she was an ancient goddess, she started to copying some of the historical rituals by cutting out her victim's heart while they were still alive, and then mixing the blood with chicken blood and like all sorts of narcotics, and then they drink them, and again force the whole village to drink these blood cocktails in order to gain supernatural abilities. She was telling the community that because she's a goddess, blood is the only thing that she can digest. Believed that Sebastián, the 14-year-old boy that ran into the police station, has witnessed exactly one of these rituals, and then in panic and fear he ran into the next village that was, by the way, 25 miles away. So this boy literally ran 25 miles to the next village, into the police station, trying to explain what he just saw. And he was telling the truth. He saw a bunch of people drinking human blood. It's just that they weren't actually vampires, obviously, because they were worse than vampires. And so when the boy and the police officer never returned back to the station, the police station called the army for help, and then together with them, they went into the village where the boy was claiming to have seen this crime to try and find those two, but nothing could have prepared them for what's about to come next. So once the police and the army arrived, they started looking around, and what they found was a really high Magdalena together with the Hernandez brothers, and they were found with a large amount of drugs, which is why they would get initially arrested. And one of the Hernandez brothers actually tried to flee the scene, which is when he was shot and killed by the police. And again, at this point, they are arrested for possession of drugs, not for the actual crimes, because they haven't been discovered yet. Some of the community obviously witnessed what just had happened, and they saw their beloved goddess being arrested by the police. So they start panicking, they're all running into the caves, and of course they were caught by the police. And this is where gunfire started to be exchanged, and a lot of people from the community actually did end up dying, and the rest were taken into police custody together with Magdalena and her brother. And obviously, after all of this is clear, there's something going on here, but it was still not clear what it actually is. So the police and the army started to, or continued to search around the area, mainly around the farmhouse. And this is where they found the bodies of Martinez and the 14-year-old boy. Both of them had their heart cut out, and both of them obviously were dead. And the police continued searching the area, where they found an additional 6 bodies. One of those 6 bodies was the other half of the Hernandez brothers. So the first one was shot and killed when he was running away from the police when they first entered the village. And the second one was killed, it is assumed, by one of the community members, because they found out about the scam. But it isn't fully confirmed. There were some different stories about how exactly that happened. But he is dead. So we have only Magdalena and her brother that actually survived from the group of the scammers. Now fast forward to the sentencing. Magdalena, her brother, and all the surviving members of the community, they all have to stand trial in court, which they did. None of the community members actually spoke on Magdalena and her brother. None of them wanted to upset their goddess. I think at this point they have been brainwashed to that extent where they still believe this is the truth. So nobody said anything, and that's why Magdalena and her brother were only charged for the death of the boy and the police officer, although it is believed that they've killed about 16 to 19 people. The exact number is unclear. And both of them were sentenced to 50 years in prison, and they would have been released around 2013. But it is believed that they have both died in prison. Now, the villagers that were also arrested and stood trial, they all received 30 years in prison. And eventually they would speak up about the experience that they had in this cult, which this is what it is essentially, is a cult, or it had turned into a cult. And this is how we know all of the details of the things that had happened there, and the rituals and this whole brutality. And as I mentioned before, I do want to get a bit more into her mental health, into Magdalena's mental health state, because it is believed that she has or she had several mental health issues. Now, to give you the most accurate statement, I'm going to read this off my screen, of my laptop screen. So it is believed that she developed a serious psychosis, causing her to experience major religiously oriented delusions of grandeur. Now, these are some really big words, and I'm probably again mispronounce stuff, but according to the internet, is a delusion of grandeur is a person's belief that they are someone other than who they are, such as a supernatural figure or a celebrity. A delusion of grandeur may also be a belief that they have special abilities, possessions, or power, which in this case, this is why she truly believed she was a goddess. And not only that, she also had sadomasochistic tendencies, which were reflected in her sacrifices. The report also mentions pedophilia. I'm not exactly sure why, but I'm going to assume this is because of the orgies where everyone had to participate regardless of age. So there were probably some young children participating in these orgies, and that's why the pedophilia. And as I briefly mentioned before, this is essentially a cult. This is what it had turned into, a cult. Obviously everyone got charged, and I think everyone deserved to be charged, although I think it's pretty obvious that the people living in that village have been brainwashed to believe in whatever, you know, that little group was telling them. Again, another, you know, again, this is just a definition of a cult. But not just that, she was actually, or she is still up to this day, one of the very few documented female serial killers motivated by sexual crimes. And yeah, this is it. This is it for today's video. I kind of want to say, did you enjoy this video? But then seems like a really odd word to use after you described some really horrific things. But if you did find it interesting, which is probably a better word, then please let me know. Leave a comment, subscribe to my channel. And yeah, that's some really dark shit. So I think I'm going to watch a comedy or something now, just to ease my mind. I'm about to film a bunch of other videos for my channel. So yeah, I hope I see you again in my next video. And wishing you a lovely rest of your day. And that's it.